Have you ever heard of the term blind date? Well, we're taking that to the next level. That's right, baby. Love is Blind is in Minnesota. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm from Minnesota. That's me. Oh my gosh, my people. Can't wait to check this out. It's going to be so awesome. Boring. So yeah, sorry by the way. This is probably going to be pretty negative. I know that's not always the most fun for a video, but the general response that I've seen from everybody that's watched these first 6 episodes of Love is Blind 8 agrees that it's not very good. And so I'm just going to kind of complain about it for a little while. I hope you enjoy and bear with me here. This is why you should never cast exclusively Midwesterners or Minnesotans on a TV show. I'm sorry. I'm from here. I know many people would love to be on a show, but what is this shit, man? This is why we shouldn't all be on here. I've seen so many of these shows. I always pay attention to the people from Minnesota because I feel a certain sort of kinship to them. They're my people. And they're always just boring, man. With the exception of Carolyn from Survivor and now The Traitors, I can't even think of another good person that's been on reality TV that's from Minnesota. And you think of some of them, like Caitlyn from BB15. These people should like be in jail. They shouldn't even be on TV. Beyond the boring casting and location, I just think Netflix is generally bad at hosting reality TV shows. I've thought that ever since they got the rights to one of the best reality shows ever, The Mole, and just completely Netflixed it up and completely butchered it. Netflix's own verb, by the way, for destroying a good TV show and adding all their own elements to it. This doesn't just stop at Love is Blind or The Mole. It goes to, Perfect Match, Love Island, Too Hot to Handle. Any of these Netflix reality shows, they're not good. And I think a lot of them have similar problems. For starters, they have terrible hosts, especially for Love is Blind. I think we all agree Nick and Vanessa Lachey suck at their job. They are annoying. They're not funny, even though they try to be. They're really cringe. Like, just on this first episode, Daniel, I think his name is, the short guy. Yeah, he called himself a short king, and Vanessa Lachey was... Short king, I love it. Like, she's never heard that expression before. Does she think that Daniel just like made that up on the spot? I think she does. Beyond being cringe and annoying and just out of touch, they also kind of try to like walk this fine line of supporting the relationships and marriages and also like trying to stir the pot and cause drama, which to me just doesn't work. Don't get me wrong, I am not here for the happy relationships. If I wanted to see that, I would go to my parents' house. I want the drama, I want the fireworks, the fighting, but the way they do it is very transparent to me, where they try to be like, oh, we love love, we love when these couples work out, we want to see these happy marriages. And it's like, you can't have both. You either can be the Andy from the Real Housewives, like intentionally stirring the pot and starting up some drama here, or you can be Julie Chen and love, but you can't have both. Another thing that's really bad about all these Netflix shows, and especially Love is Blind, is I've seen 6 episodes already, the entire duration of the pods, and we barely know any of the people, including some of the people that got engaged. You could put a picture of anyone in one of these cast articles and say that they were on the show. None of us would have any idea. We'd be like, okay, yeah, that person was there. I guess they just didn't show them, because that's what it's like every season, and this season was especially bad with that. Next season, I'm going to write one of these articles and slip my picture into the cast article and see if anybody notices if I was there or not. The only reason I'm going to stick out is because I'm not conventionally attractive enough to fit the bill of being on a Netflix show, which is another annoying thing about these shows. They have to have such cookie cutter people that look and act like influencers, probably already are influencers. They're fit, they're relatively wealthy, very generic people, not interesting in the slightest, don't really have any defining characteristics in terms of their personalities. It's funny, my fiance's friend, when she found out that they were filming in Minnesota, came to us and was like, I'm thinking about applying. I don't think she made it on, but for all I know, she did, and they just didn't show her when she was in the pod. Another thing that just really irritates me about all these Netflix shows, they care way too much about their own aesthetic, and it's like really cringe. They have those little gold cups that everybody's always drinking their alcohol out of, and I can't have somebody drinking a White Claw or whatever on TV. You have to blur out the label, and that costs a lot, so I get having your own cups, but just it feels like they're going for the young, teen, trendy crowd. They want to be like aesthetically pleasing to the young crowd, and honestly, I kind of think that works. I feel like that's a big part of why a lot of people watch these shows. I wish that they would care less about that and more about making an actual quality show, getting interesting people. They also make a lot of poor editing choices, so we barely know any of the people, right? Apparently it's worse than that. Apparently there was like 2 extra couples that got engaged that we didn't even see anything of. I don't know if we're gonna see that in the future or what. There's also a huge lack of diversity on all Netflix shows. When going through the cast article of Love is Blind 8, it's honestly more diverse than the show would have led you to believe if you just watched these first 6 episodes, because the only people that got airtime are the white people, and It's kind of infuriating, honestly. If you're not from Minnesota, you might not think we're like the most diverse place. You know, we're the Midwest, but we honestly do have a relatively diverse population. We have a large Somali population, a large Hmong population. There's no representation of that on this season, and that's just disappointing to me. Even if there is, they're clearly not showing it. When it comes to the diversity of it all, do we really need Adam, Alex, Ben, Benji, Brad, Brian, Daniel? I stopped at Daniel when I was going through the article. I stopped listing there because I couldn't take it anymore, but I'm sure there's more people. You told me to try and pick any of them out of a lineup. I wouldn't be able to tell you who's who, other than I'd probably be able to tell Daniel because he's going to be down here compared to the rest of them up here. These guys are not that distinct from each other. I don't get why we need to have all of them on the same season of the same show. And the same goes for Lauren, Sarah, and Taylor. Maybe not as much personality-wise, but at least in terms of looks, I couldn't tell you who's who. The only thing that I remember, at least Sarah stood on business in terms of social issues. That's the one thing that made her stick out to me, but I still wouldn't be able to tell you who's who between the three of them. We really spent so much time focusing on the love quadrilateral, I guess, love square of Alex, Madison, Mason, and Meg, none of whom ended up getting engaged. So, like, what was the point? It was mildly entertaining, I will say, but literally probably like 80% of the airtime of the first 6 episodes was devoted to these 4. Apparently, they will be showing up in future episodes when they do the couple get-togethers at, like, parties or restaurants or whatever, and they have, like, the pod squad. All the friends from the pods come in. Honestly, just the amount of time that was devoted to all of them ended up being kind of a letdown, because personally, I was really excited to see Madison. I thought for sure they're showing us her so much she has to get engaged to somebody, and I was happy about that because not only did I just like her personally, I thought she was entertaining. I thought she's like one of the few people this season that would actually put her foot down and stand for something, maybe start a few arguments, speak her mind, and I respect that and love to see that on TV. All right, let's talk about some of the couples that actually did get engaged. Devin and Virginia. Devin is a weird loser that clearly is not confident in himself. Regarding the Brittany situation, when she came out to him as bisexual and he was really weird about it, played the faith card, like, oh, I'm so faithful, I couldn't be around a gay person. He made it abundantly clear that he falls for that harmful stereotype of, oh, bisexual people, they're unfaithful, they want to have sex with everybody. That's just so not true, and it's honestly a harmful thing to believe. I just think it's loser behavior to, you know, not be cool with that. I think if you're really connecting with somebody, you really love them or like them, you should give them a chance no matter what their sexuality is. All that matters is that they're into you, right? And clearly Brittany was into you, and you were weird about it, man. I'm talking about Ben and Sarah a little bit. Like I said, I really respect that Sarah stands on business when it comes to social issues, but also, did she really stand on business that much when she was kind of like, this guy doesn't care about that, but whatever, I still like him, I'm gonna get engaged to him. It's really weird seeing somebody like Ben that has like no opinions on social issues. I don't know if that's just like a common thing in Minnesota or if there's people like that everywhere, but I do know a lot of people like Ben, especially men like Ben, who's like, oh yeah, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, it doesn't really affect me, which, like, good for you, man, if that doesn't affect you, but you know what, it affects a lot of people, and it really matters. And if you're privileged enough to not have it affect you or matter to you, you should at least be able to recognize that not everybody has it that easy. A lot of people are affected by things like social class, race, sexuality, gender. This stuff matters, and it might not matter to you, but you should still have an opinion about it. And there is a right and wrong opinion when it comes to these social issues. You can disagree about other things, but you can't disagree with me about basic human rights. All right, talking about David and who is he with? Lauren? David and Lauren? Yeah, see, that's how forgettable these people are. Yeah, this is how bad this season is. I wrote in my notes, thank God for David. And I cannot see myself saying that on another season of this show. I would probably be like, get this guy the hell out of here. He's a loser and a douchebag. And I still think he's a loser and a douchebag. But guess what? He's also the only one providing any sort of drama or entertainment. So I'm glad he's here. I actually turned to my fiance when we were watching and said, if David doesn't get engaged, I'm not watching the rest of this season, because he's the only one providing any entertainment so far. He has just a ton of red flags about him, and I can't believe that there were multiple women that wanted to get engaged to him, let alone one. He had that conversation with Molly about basically being like a libertarian. He didn't say that. That's my words, not his. All right, last but not least, let's get into this whole situation between Daniel and Taylor. The short king himself causing a little bit of drama. Hopefully this continues. I'm guessing not, since this is like the cliffhanger. Usually the cliffhangers end up being incredibly anticlimactic. This Instagram situation is weird. Originally, I really thought that thinking this whole thing is premeditated is insane, and that Taylor was just doing that because she was unattracted to him physically and didn't like that he was a little bit shorter. It was like looking for a way out of this engagement. It was like, oh no, you saw saw my Instagram. Even if he did, to me, I was like, how would he remember all this information? How would he know what you look like? How would he know your name? How would you know your interests? But it seems like people are a little bit crazier than I thought when it comes to social media. From the talk of the town that I've been seeing, from other podcasts, from social media itself, people do this, I guess. People like study up on other people's social media pages. People pay really close attention to who follows who, what pictures do you have, what's in your bio. That's never really been my thing, I guess. But when you look into it a little bit, it is a little bit suspicious. Apparently they have mutual friends, Daniel and Taylor. They said that on the show. So it is possible that Daniel found her via these mutual friends and is trying to weasel his way in there. Also on Taylor's Instagram, in her bio, it talks about how she loves Taco Bell. I think she even has a picture wearing like a Taco Bell hat or shirt or something like that. And that was a big topic in the pods, is how much they both love Taco Bell, which that's another thing that I was skeptical about, by the way. Is their two big coincidences here are they love Taco Bell and Christmas, as if like everybody else in the world also doesn't love Taco Bell and Christmas. Like, that's not that crazy to me, but I don't know, there's a little bit of a smoking gun here. She also has a whole, I don't even know what you call it, because I'm kind of like a boomer when it comes to Instagram. It's almost like a collection of like it's like a story, but it's like permanently at the top of your Instagram page or whatever. She has a whole thing of that just about Christmas. That's a little weird. She also like remembered the exact picture of Daniel sitting in front of the Christmas tree or whatever, and he denied it so guiltily. He came off so guilty. Like, dude, even if this whole thing wasn't planned out, you made yourself look sus. I'm not gonna lie. She like kind of described the picture perfectly. I think she got a couple things wrong, like he wasn't holding a drink and stuff, but I think he did follow her, and I think she's thinking of the same person. And how the only question is, was this actually Daniel's motive, or is it all just one big coincidence? I feel like it might be a little too much to be a coincidence. You all talked me into it. I've talked myself into it, like, as this has gone along. I started out thinking, you gotta be nuts to think that this was all premeditated by Daniel. I kind of think it was. I don't know, man. If it is, that's like stage 10 clinger, like get a restraining order level crazy. You know, I didn't really watch this season on Love is Blind, because a lot of times they have like spoilers and stuff in there. Apparently it's supposed to get a little bit spicier. I'm really hoping so. That's what I've heard people say. I mean, it can't get less spicy than this. The answer to the question, you really watch this when it comes to Love is Blind season 8? For me, if it keeps up like this, probably not.